How you doing?
How we doing?
Pretty good.
Good. Good morning to you. And appreciate you being out here. So practice 13 down, 14 and 15 to go. We have one more day we have to do spiders. That's just a rule. So we'll do that on Thursday, and then Saturday we'll play ball. Be similar like we always do. Typically offense versus defense, point system, but we will play live football. And then we'll head to the second half of that. We'll work more of a thud tempo. But that being said, again, more progress, very competitive on Saturday, very competitive today. Feel like we're catching on to our schemes better. We're getting better at the techniques and the fundamentals that come with playing better football. So got to do a ton of work on pre-snap penalties. Work with some noise today as well to get our guys used to communicating at a higher level. And I could go on, but I'll just answer questions instead.
Mario, is there a position where you entered spring wondering, do we have enough at this position? And those concerns have been sort of allayed in your mind over the last month. What comes to mind?
You know, I think when you go to spring, because usually, right, some guys are healing up from the season, you think almost every position. The one position that we had to really answer questions on was the secondary. And I think through, some talent acquisition and whatnot, some signings, we look a whole lot better, and it's much more competitive. And that being said, we still have a ways to go. Certainly at the center position, for a couple years we've had really good centers, and between James Brockemeyer and Ryan Rodriguez and SJ, those guys done a really good job. We have other guys that can snap as well. So we feel a lot better. We feel really good about that position. Tight ends, right? The departure of Elijah Arroyo and Cam, I mean, imagine I never thought I'd say Cam's gone. Took a while. But you see the talent in a guy like Elijah Lofton, and you also see the ability and the willingness of a guy to get pushed. And that's, I think, the best part of how our team is being formed. You guys have been to practice. You catch the beginning, but we push them. We challenge them in the right kind of way. Some other guys, Brock Schott, Luka Gilbert have done a really good job. Alex Bowman, he's been a little bit under the weather, but he's shown some great stuff. The development of the young quarterbacks really stands out. All in all, you see a lot of progress and a long ways to go, and I think spring will always be that. So I know it's a boring answer to the question, but it's kind of the theme of the whole thing. A lot of progress and a long ways to go.
Mario, you said I think before camp that you were hopeful that Carson would get a chance to throw at some point by the end of camp. Obviously last week now. Does it look like he'll get a chance to throw this week?
I don't know. I know he's throwing some other things. He's throwing the rehab part of the contraptions, those balls or whatnot, and it's right there. We feel great about it. He's taken part not only walkthroughs but also in team setting drills that allow him to hand the ball off, goes through every progression, stays up there and watches relentlessly watches film. Excited about him. Also, the value of the rep continues to stand out because you see so many quarterbacks today have the opportunity to get the ball to some younger receivers that haven't played. You saw C.J. Daniels now getting live work as well, and he's certainly going to help us a bunch. I got off track a little bit, but I think you know what I'm saying. We're getting there. We're real close. He won't throw in the spring game. Let's just say that.
You signed a big defensive line class in 24, and now those guys are going into year 2. I'm curious, who of those guys have maybe kind of earned the right to be counted on in the rotation this year from what you've seen?
Well, good question. I think that'll be settled more in the fall. But you do see guys, they're making significant progress, and they are making the right kind of plays. They're getting their hands on blockers. They're better at block destruction. I think that that's a handful of guys. To stop at each one will be a very lengthy press conference. The advancement of the defensive line is, I think, attributed to two things. Is the scheme itself allows those guys to play upfield and fast, and the emphasis on block destruction, pad level, getting their feet in the ground. I think you see that a lot. You see Coach Taylor, Coach Lewis, Coach Stroud, those guys have really dug deep, they've kind of drawn a line in the sand and say, this is the way we're going to play football. We're going to be physical, and we're going to affect both the running back and his running lanes as well as the quarterback. And I think Coach Heatherman, with his background, the front seven, it adds to that as well. Those guys are all battling. It's hard to say which one's pushing ahead of who. But I know I can guarantee they're going to get pushed. I could guarantee they're going to get a ton of work, and I feel really good about them responding. So.
Mario, you complimented the defense on Saturday. I'm just wondering what stood out to you with the defense? What impressed you?
The intensity. They play with intensity, passion, physicality. They forced turnovers. They created negative plays. They disrupted the passer. They forced balls to bounce and roll off the edge, and there was always an answer there. The support player was in place. I thought we tackled well. I thought we were very aware of where our help was. Felt like we played like a unit. Communication was, I wouldn't say completely spot on, but much improved. Guys ran to the football, which probably stands out as the number one thing we're doing better in the spring. We're running to the football, and we're getting there with intentions, right, of making something happen. So that's what I would say. And I think today the offense responded and got one back up on them in the form of some big plays. The defense still made a lot of good plays, but
I understand it might be hard to judge because Carson is out this spring, but from what you see, do you feel like there's explosive potential on offense with this group?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We don't, there's no intention of going backwards on offense. You know, the obvious is there was such a high standard last year with points and yards, and there's a lot of way to get points and yards, and I feel that we have the capabilities of doing it both ways. You know, our running game is strong, our offensive line is strong, our quarterback room is excellent, it's strong. Our receivers, some of them are young, but you know, we've played with young receivers at Miami before for a long time and won a lot of games with that. And then some of the older guys have done a really good job as well, maturing and developing. And the tight end room is something that, you know, you saw towards the end of the year was being used more and more. We've got to keep doing that. So I do feel really good about our explosiveness capabilities and the ability of our coaches to put the ball in the hands of the guys that can make plays.
You've always handled the chaos of the portal well. Obviously, you aced last May, getting everyone you wanted. What's that like to go through that Sunday? Do you meet with all the coaches and decide what you need to address come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday when the second window opens?
What's the portal like?
And just the chaos of it it's over the next 72,
Sure.
96 hours.
Sure. I mean, I don't complain. I mean, we just go, we work, and I believe in that, but what's the best way to put this? Okay. The portal is always open, regardless of the dates that are prescribed, and everybody's in the portal. Everybody. That's what it's like. That's the reality of where we are in terms of college football. Now, you're not going to find any complaining on this side. I want to say that 14 times over. You adapt or you die. It's the bottom line, right? But that's the reality of the world we live in. And you know what you do? You work your tail off, and you make sure that you show guys a path for improvement, for betterment, and you make sure that you find every human possible that puts Miami first. Because that's still the best part of a winning formula. People that want to see a place do well and understand that if everybody does well, and that if you get the pieces to do well, and if you work together to get all the pieces to do well, that the magic happens. So will it be chaotic? I mean, it's part of the business. There's no complaining. Let's just go to work. Let's go to work. Let's put together the best team that we can. Let's get better in these next 2 days. Let's get healthy. Let's go recruit like crazy. Let's do right by our people and make sure our people do right by the University of Miami.
Mario, you mentioned Brock and Luca at tight end. How have they progressed over the course of spring? Obviously, with a bunch of guys leaving, there's a chance for them to get some playing time.
Yeah, those guys are advanced now. I mean, Brock's shot looks like, you know, something out of the Predator movies, you know, and Luca is, I mean, you know, he missed a big chunk of the offseason due to a very minor foot issue, and he's gotten healthy. He participated the last 2 weeks of the offseason conditioning program, and then he's taken part in practice, and every single day he gets better and better and better. We expect both those guys to be significant contributors for us this year, and we do believe that the sky's the limit for both those guys.
All right, just what do you make of Hayden Lowe Spring?
Hayden Lowe Spring, he's special talent. Has to still learn, you know, the ins and outs of the system. Awesome human being. Love being around the guy, you know. Familiar with that school due to his, you know, former classmate over there that we had when we were out at Oregon. And then, you know, their coach does a great job. Coach Collins, you know, he really, like a lot of the coaches we mentioned that coach our guys here, he coaches those guys hard, he pushes them, and the result is a young man raised in an awesome manner by his family that understands hard work and comes every day to work with a chip on his shoulder, and he gets after it. I mean, there's been some really physical battles. He's got a great future. We're going to push him really hard, and he's going to do great things.
Great. Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys.